Okay, let's dive in. Think about how we used to picture going to work. It always meant, well, going somewhere,
Yeah,
right?
an office, a factory, wherever. Working from home was like the exception to snow day thing.
Exactly, a rare treat.
Yeah.
But then, well, the world changed pretty dramatically. And now, work itself feels fundamentally different.
It's not just about where we log in from anymore. It's changed how we collaborate, who's even on our teams, how companies think about, well, everything from Wi-Fi security to their giant office leases.
Uh-huh. And that huge, sudden shift wasn't just temporary. It seems like it really kicked off a whole redefinition of the workplace.
Absolutely. And figuring out where this is all headed is honestly pretty crucial for anyone, whether you're managing your career or leading a team.
For sure. So, in this deep dive, we want to look ahead specifically to 2025 and beyond. Where is remote work really going?
To get a handle on that, we've looked at a couple of really insightful sources. One's an article laying out the top 10 remote work trends expected for 2025. And the other is this really comprehensive report based on surveys. It gives us a fantastic ground level view, especially digging into the experiences of IT professionals, the people who actually have to make all this remote tech work seamlessly.
Got it. So, kind of a high-level trends view combined with some really specific on-the-ground data.
Exactly. You get the big picture themes everyone's talking about, but also these incredibly detailed data points on what's actually happening day to day, the challenges, the hurdles, and maybe some surprising opportunities too.
Right. So our mission today is pretty straightforward. We want to help you, our listener, make sense of all these predictions and data points.
We'll walk through the key shifts, the technology is really driving things, and yeah, the challenges and opportunities you should probably be aware of.
So by the end, hopefully you'll feel really well informed about where remote work seems to be heading.
Sounds good. Let's start by just grounding ourselves in where things stand right now based on what our sources are telling us. Remote work isn't just a pandemic hangover.
No, definitely not. It's a significant, really integrated part of how people work globally now.
The numbers back that up. Globally, something like 28% employees were working remotely in 2023.
And that's up from about 20% back in 2020, right? So
Yeah,
still growing or at least holding steady at a high level.
exactly. And in the US specifically, as of August 2024, the estimate is around 22.8% working remotely, at least part-time. That's what, 35 million people?
Wow, 35 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a small number. That sustained presence year after year really tells you it's baked into long-term strategies now.
For sure. And it kind of pushes back against some of that early skepticism, doesn't it? Especially around productivity.
Right. There was so much worry about people slacking off at home. What are the studies actually showing?
Well, several big ones indicate productivity has actually held steady or even gone up. There was a huge Great Place to Work study, like over 800,000 employees,
Yep.
and most reported that productivity was the same or better working remotely.
That's fascinating because you still hear executives voicing those concerns.
You do. But then there's another study, this one from Stanford, involving Trip.com employees, which found that even a hybrid model, just 2 days working from home, resulted in people being just as productive. And interestingly, just as likely to get promoted as their colleagues who were in the office full time.
So the data, at least from these studies, seems pretty positive on the productivity front, even for hybrid setups.
It does, though, as we'll see, management perception sometimes lags behind that data.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But what about what employees want? That seems pretty clear, right?
Oh, incredibly clear. Flexibility is like a top priority now. Surveys consistently show this. One found 91% globally prefer working fully or almost completely remotely.
91%. That's overwhelming.
It is. And many say they'd actually leave their job if those remote or flexible options weren't on the table. It's become a major factor in retention.
Okay, but that sets up a real conflict, doesn't it? You've got this massive employee desire for flexibility crashing right into what leadership wants.
Exactly. That tension is maybe the defining dynamic right now. Look at this KPMG study of CEOs. A huge majority, 83%, said they anticipate a full return to the office within the next 3 years.
83% expect a full return. Wow. Is that number going up or down?
It's actually up significantly from 64% the previous year.
So CEOs are digging in their heels even more, despite employee preference.
It looks that way, according to that study. So you have this fundamental clash of visions for what the future workplace should even look like.
That tension is definitely something to keep an eye on. So given that conflict, what are the trend forecasts saying is the most likely outcome for, say, 2025?
Well, the prevailing view, reflected in both our sources, is that hybrid work is really solidifying as the most common model. It's becoming the norm for many.
Hybrid, so blending remote time and in-office time? That's the compromise then, trying to bridge that gap.
That seems to be the idea. It's often framed as trying to capture the best of both worlds. You give employees some flexibility.
Which they clearly want.
Right. But you also address those leadership concerns about, team cohesion, collaboration, maybe sparking some of that spontaneous creativity that some feel happens more easily face to face.
Okay. And making all of this possible, the remote part, the hybrid part, is obviously technology.
Yeah.
The sources point to more integration of things like AI, automation, even VR and AR.
Absolutely. Technology is the great enabler here. AI and automation are becoming, well, almost essential.
Hey, so what are they doing specifically for remote teams?
They're streamlining a lot of the tedious stuff, think scheduling meetings automatically, helping manage complex projects, analyzing data faster. This frees people up for more strategic work.
Right.
For remote teams specifically, you're seeing AI tools doing real-time meeting transcriptions, which is huge for catching up or for accessibility.
Yeah.
Intelligent assistants managing calendars, automated report generation.
And for IT departments,
Yeah.
automation must be key there too.
Definitely. Automating tasks like managing and securing devices, patching systems remotely, it's crucial when your workforce is scattered everywhere. Expect AI and automation to just get deeper and deeper into our work tools.
What about the more futuristic sounding stuff, VR and AR? Is that really making an impact yet, or is it still mostly hype?
It's definitely moving beyond hype, though widespread adoption is still emerging. The idea is to use these immersive technologies to create a stronger sense of presence, bridging that physical gap.
So like virtual meeting rooms instead of just Zoom grids.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Imagine joining a meeting in a virtual space that feels more interactive, more like being there. Or using augmented reality AR for things like hands-on training, where digital instructions are overlaid on real equipment.
Oh, interesting. I can see that for technical training.
Or for visualizing complex designs, collaborative problem solving. It's especially promising for global teams who can't easily get together. As the hardware gets better and cheaper, we'll definitely see more of this.
But none of that works. Not the AI, not the VR, not even just basic remote access, without really solid, secure connectivity, right, and IT support to back it up.
That's a critical piece. The demand for robust, secure remote access and support tech has just exploded. Businesses need solutions that let employees connect securely from anywhere, on potentially any device.
Which means?
It means strong encryption, multi-factor authentication, where you need more than just a password, and increasingly adopting what's called a zero-trust security framework.
Zero trust. What's that?
Basically, it means you don't automatically trust anyone or anything trying to connect, even if they're inside your network perimeter. You verify every access attempt, every time. It's a much more rigorous approach needed for a distributed environment.
Okay. And the IT support side?
Hugely important. IT teams need tools to remotely diagnose and fix problems on an employee's computer without having to physically be there. That remote support capability is absolutely essential for minimizing downtime and keeping people productive.
Okay, this is where things get really interesting, I think. Remote work isn't just changing how teams work together.
Yeah.
It's changing who can even be on the team in the first place. That globalization of the workforce trend seems massive.
Oh, it completely dissolves geographical barriers. Companies aren't limited to hiring people who live within an hour's drive anymore.
They can look anywhere in the world for the best talent.
Exactly. Tap into diverse skill sets, different perspectives that can drive innovation. It can also offer cost savings, potentially, by hiring in different labor markets. And you can even achieve round-the-clock operations with teams spread across time zones.
Is there data backing this up? Are companies actually hiring more globally now?
Yes, one of our sources, that SWZD report, confirmed this. Among the companies that they surveyed that already allowed remote work, 27% said they are now more likely to hire non-local talent compared to before the pandemic. So the shift is measurable.
But hiring globally, having employees connecting from everywhere, that sounds like a cybersecurity nightmare waiting to happen.
It definitely raises the stakes. Cybersecurity has shot right up to the top of the priority list for almost every organization embracing remote or hybrid work.
Because the risks are just higher.
Significantly. More employees working from more locations, sometimes on less secure home networks, using various devices. It just expands the attack surface for things like phishing scams, ransomware, data breaches.
So what are companies doing about it?
They're investing heavily in stronger defenses. Things like robust endpoint protection software on every laptop, enforcing that multi-factor authentication we talked about, implementing those zero trust frameworks.
And training. Is employee awareness part of it?
Absolutely vital. Employees are often the first line of defense, or unfortunately, sometimes the entry point for an attack if they click on a bad link. So ongoing cybersecurity awareness training is key.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit to the human side of things. Employee well-being and mental health seem to be much more prominent concerns now, too.
Yes, thankfully. Organizations are increasingly recognizing that while remote work offers flexibility, it can also really blur the lines between work and personal life.
Yeah, the always-on feeling.
Exactly. That can lead to stress, burnout, feelings of isolation if you're not seeing colleagues regularly. So forward-thinking companies are being more proactive.
Wow. What kinds of things are they doing?
Promoting truly flexible schedules, not just saying it. Offering easy access to mental health resources like counseling services. Implementing more structured virtual check-ins and even dedicated virtual team-building activities just to foster connection and combat that isolation.
Even small things matter, presumably.
Yeah, like encouraging proper ergonomic setups at home to avoid physical strain, promoting regular breaks. It's all part of creating a healthier remote work culture. It's becoming crucial for satisfaction and, frankly, for keeping good people.
With technology changing so fast and roles evolving because of remote work, upskilling must be a constant need now.
It really is. Continuous learning is essential. It's driven partly by the sheer pace of tech change, new collaboration tools, AI features appearing all the time.
Right.
But it's also driven by the changing nature of the roles themselves in a remote or hybrid context. Companies are investing more in training programs.
What kinds of skills? Just
Sure.
technical stuff.
Technical skills are important, yes, learning the tools. But just as crucial are the so-called soft skills. Things like how to communicate effectively when you're not in the same room, how to manage your own time and workload without direct supervision.
Self-management becomes key.
Huge. And for managers, learning how to lead and motivate a team that's dispersed, how to build trust virtually that requires a whole different skill set too. Leadership development is a big piece of this.
It's interesting how remote work even touches on bigger societal issues, like sustainability.
Yeah, that's becoming a more recognized aspect, sustainable remote work practices. The most obvious win is environmental fewer commutes mean a massive reduction in carbon emissions.
That's a big one.
Huge. But companies are also looking at encouraging energy-efficient home office setups, pushing for digital-first workflows to reduce paper waste, and potentially shrinking their own physical office footprint, which also has energy implications.
Are companies actually helping employees with greener home offices?
Some are starting to explore it maybe through small subsidies or partnerships for energy-efficient equipment. It's an emerging area.
And that point about shrinking the office footprint leads us to the last big trend you mentioned,
Yeah.
the changing nature of physical office spaces themselves.
Exactly. We're seeing this trend towards decentralization, instead of pouring everything into one giant central headquarters.
Which might be half empty now anyway.
Right. Companies are considering smaller, maybe more strategically located satellite offices or making better use of flexible co-working spaces.
So not necessarily for daily commuting, but for specific purposes.
Precisely. They can serve as hubs for teams to come together for intensive collaboration days, or maybe just provide an alternative for remote employees who need a break from home or need access to better internet or specific tech resources.
And presumably this could save companies money on real estate too.
That's definitely part of the calculation for many. Plus, it can offer better support options for employees who might be spread out geographically, not clustered around one main HQ.
Okay, that gives us a really solid overview of the big picture trends shaping things towards 2025. Hybrid becoming the norm, tech integration, globalization, cybersecurity, well-being.
Right. But to really understand the nuances, the sticking points, the reasons behind some of these shifts, we need to dig into that detailed survey data.
The SWZD report you mentioned earlier, based on IT Pro feedback.
Yeah. Remember, this survey was done back in May and June of 2021. So it's a snapshot from that absolutely crucial moment when companies were trying to figure out their post-pandemic strategies.
Okay, so it's a baseline from when these decisions were actively being